AAT Birds Weekly Report is the Eagle news, notes, and analysis you need. All about the birds, all birds, all the time.
What's going on, everybody? It is Johnny Ulecka and Matt Templin. We are talking birds tonight, of course. As always. Matt's joining us back after basically a couple-week hiatus. Had a couple things going on here, so you're back. You're back talking. So we're going to talk a little bit of the OTA minicamp. Eagles' one mandatory minicamp practice is done. A couple things that we had noticed. Get into that a little bit. Jaire Alexander was cut by the Packers. We'll talk a little bit about some veteran free agents, some trade targets, a couple different edge rushers that are unhappy with their contract situations, and a couple free agents did sign with some teams that are pretty interesting. So we'll get into all of that kind of goings on around the league and with the Philadelphia Eagles. But Matt, how are we doing tonight? You ready to talk some OTAs?
Yeah, man, it's been far too long. I've been, you know me, we've been in the chat. I've been itching here, chomping at the bit here to get here and talk birds, man. I got a newborn in the house, so anything I get to step away and talk some Eagles, man, I'm in. One thing I did want to bring up that I don't know if you guys covered this in the last episode or not, but like the big news with Jeffrey Lurie. And the foundation that he opened, the Autism Foundation that he opened in tandem with the PenMed and CHOP, $50 million of his own money to open up, first of its kind autism research center, which is really, really cool. We have just such a cool owner. Like it's I don't know any other team in the NFL that can sit here and say they have a better owner as a person and as an owner and GM combo in the NFL. Yeah,
I would say we're pretty lucky with the way Jeffrey Lurie and the Eagles ownership, how they handle everything. It's just he's unbelievable, and what they do is just magnificent for everybody. What they do, the Autism Foundation, they do the all the different type of events like. You have the open practice, which is going to be August 10th. All the money that goes towards that. So just everything is, for a cause. And it's just great what they do for this, for, the city and what they do for certain foundations and everything like that. So,
that trickles down too. Sorry to interrupt you there, but a friend of mine does a ton of work with the Eagles Autism Fund. He has a son on the spectrum, and I've donated a couple of my helmets to raffles and things like that. And every time they do an event, they have a different player. And this year it was Landon Dickerson. And the way he was gracious with his time and was like, he stayed past the time that they had booked, signing autographs, slinging drinks. I mean, you can see that it trickles down from Jeffrey, and they look for players that are, have open hearts. And I know he got killed for this at the time, but emotional intelligence, right?
Yep.
They just do such an awesome job. And like the culture and the team that we fell in love with. And we're always talking, man, I love this team. I love these guys. And the personality and the mentality that they have, it trickles down from the owner. And I just want to give a little kudos to Jeffrey. He'll never hear this, but kudos to Jeffrey Lurie, man. Setting up an awesome example for his players, his staff, and in the city in general.
No, I think you're correct with that. When you when you bring that up, and everything that they do is just fantastic. But looking at the mini camp, the OTAs, and some things, and also Jahad Campbell signed his rookie deal. We want to put that out there because there are teams like the Cincinnati Bengals who are having trouble agreeing on language in a rookie contract, which is unreal. We'll get into kind of other teams around the NFL and some contract situations in a little bit. But like you look at the OTA mini camps and kind of, everything that's going on and what they're doing, it seems like they're working everybody out at center. Trevor Keegan was working at center. You had it, it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out with the backup offensive line, because they know what Matt Pryor is. He's been here before. They know he's a veteran. He can play inside. He can play outside. The versatility there. So it's going to be interesting to see how also these young guys, all these draft picks that they had, Hinton and Williams and Kendall, you have all these guys coming in as well, plus the veteran free agents. You have, Kendall Lamb. So it's going to be really interested to see the way that they structure the offensive line and the battles that you're going to have, because I think there's a lot of fun when it looks to some of the backups and some of the jobs that we have here. Like, look at the safety position. Like, you have Reed and you have Sidney Brown and you have, Makuba.
Yeah.
And I know Tristan McCollum is a name that I guess they
Lewis Seen, baby. Lewis Seen.
Like
Andre Sam. Yeah.
Andre Sam's another one. It's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. But, it's going to be fun to see the way some of these, roster decisions shake up. Because I know there's a lot of talk how Jordan Davis and Jalex Hunt were giving Jordan Mailata some trouble, which Jordan Davis can figure out a pass rush move.
Dude.
Watch out. Just watch out.
Well, if Jalex Hunt can become an every down player, I mean, that's
he did put some weight on too. That was also mentioned as well.
Yeah. Let's start with the offensive line, because I think that's, to me, that's the most interesting, because they didn't invest a ton of valuable resources there, but they invested a lot there, right?
Yeah.
Like they brought in a bunch of veterans like you listed, Pryor.
Also Kenyon Green, I forgot to add him. He was in the CJ Green
in the trade, right? And they threw a bunch of proverbial shit against the wall, right, to see if it'll stick. And I think one of the things they're learning from, and I think it's evident with Kendall, the drafting of Kendall and how they listed him as a guard center, and then how they're cross-training. I mean, Toth is, for whatever reason, they refuse to give up on Toth. But, the Keegan the Keegan news this week that he was also cross-training at center, I think they regret losing Dylan. It was Dylan McMahon. Was that his last name?
Dylan McMahon. Yeah, he got.
I think they regret losing him to the Rams last year. I think they're looking for that long-term backup center, but they can't justify keeping a center only, right? They knew Juergens would have some guard versatility. They tried it out. It worked. They did that with Sam Allo. They did with Dickerson. And a lot of times those guys have stuck. They initially drafted as Kelsey's replacement, but stuck at guard. I think they want a guy that they can justify keeping on the roster for an extra spot, because I think they're going to go heavy at the offensive line just based on what they've done this year and in this offseason. There have been years where they kept 2 tight ends or 3 running backs or 2 quarterbacks, right?
That'd be interesting. They have 37 tight ends on the roster now, it seems like.
Yeah, that's going to be another interesting roster battle. But the offensive line, the way that shakes out, I anticipate them keeping 10 to 11 guys. Probably some phantom IRs there as well.
Good old phantom IR.
Safety, another one that I'm looking at, and that wide receiver 4 and 5 maybe. I doubt they keep 6, but 4 and 5 would be super interesting. And like you said, we have 45 tight ends. So a lot of really interesting roster battles. I think we will see how they feel about those guys in the coming weeks, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, we're going to know in the coming weeks. Now, of course, there's a long stretch here. Training camp doesn't start. They don't report until the 22nd, I believe, and then 23rd probably is the first practice. So you got a little bit, about a month and a half until, training camp starts. So, of course, there's a little bit of a lull there. So, we'll see what goes on. But
some interesting formations in these OTAs too. I know this is a way for them to kind of mess around with things. But the mini camp, they had Makuba in at that dime. I don't know if it's not a dime backer, but dime corner, whatever you want to call it, dime defensive back.
What Avante Maddox was playing
Dime
after
back. Yeah. The Avante Maddox role. I thought it was interesting that they had him playing there. I know Howie was very adamant that, hey, we're starting him at safety and only safety. Fangio historically does not like to teach guys two different positions. So something to keep an eye on when we get into training camp, whether or not he's going to cross-train or if they're going to have him at that backup nickel or if they're going to play him exclusively at safety. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be, another thing too that I thought about is, you look at the Keely Ringo, Adoree Jackson on the outside there. And again, there's a guy on the screen there. If you look, number 23, who was cut by the Packers, that we'll get into shortly. But when you look at those guys, Keely Ringo is still really young. And I know he didn't play a whole heck of a lot last year, just on special teams. But, I also think, too, people forget, like, Eli Ricks is still, like, on the roster.
Yeah.
Now, he didn't play that much last year, but I think they still value him as a potential, player. And, when you really look at that, like, I know he doesn't fit certain things. Like, he's not a nickel. I know they tried to put him, in the slot.
I think he can play it though. Like, I don't think that's his position, but I think he performed admirably at the nickel. Like, I think right. I think in the pinch, he played it as a rookie too. Remember that. He's a rookie, undrafted free agent, and he was asked to play in pretty extensive time there. And he did not have the best year, but he didn't have a terrible year. Like, I know that's not like a ringing endorsement, but like as a rookie, undrafted free agent, I mean, that's the best you can ask for. And now with 2-3 years in the system, it'll be interesting to see how he kind of rises or falls.
Yeah, and I think too another one is, like, you look at the wide receiver position. You were just kind of mentioning how, like, there's going to be a battle for. Of course, you don't want to bring him up, but I think we should make like a wager here before we get too much deeper and stuff. So I will say this. Now, it may not happen, and it doesn't count if it makes the practice squad. But if Darius Cooper somehow makes the 53-man roster as like the 6th receiver, I will buy a Darius Cooper jersey.
There you go. You heard it.
I will.
You heard it.
Like, for me, like, there's always one guy I always have, whether it's undrafted or a guy like you're rooting for, hopefully make a team, or if not, make the practice squad, but a guy you're rooting for. There's been years on this show, you're not probably too aware of it, but like Adrian Killens was like my guy years ago.
There you go.
He was a guy that, I rooted for. There's Craig James was another one that I rooted for.
Craig James, yeah.
Like, those two guys. Like,
Clement was my guy the year of the Super Bowl.
Okay.
I was high on him as an undrafted free agent.
Teron Jackson was another one. I loved that coming out of Coastal Carolina. And he was a guy I rooted for. So it was like those guys are there. And I think Darius Cooper is the guy this year. I just think he was underrated, Tarleton State. And I just think, like, looking at his makeup, his build, kind of the way he runs, like, if you watch the drills and how some of these guys come out of the breaks and out of the these drills, to me, he just looks so much more fluid than even some of the guys like, a Terrence Mitchell or, some of the other guys they have, in front of him before he goes, of course. But
he looks like he has really natural hands too. Like, that's the thing I noticed the most with him. When you inevitably send me a daily clip of Darius Cooper, he looks very comfortable catching the ball. And I know that sounds weird when you're talking about a wide receiver, but some guys just look like they're meant to catch the ball and like they feel comfortable doing it. And he does it very effortlessly. Similar to like what you would see with Devontae Smith. I'm not saying he's Devontae Smith, but it's the same kind of mechanics and the same kind of fluidity when he's catching the ball. It's pretty evident to me. And I'm sure Moorhead sees the same thing.
Yeah. So I think he's a guy I'm really interested and excited to see as training camp comes around and into the preseason, see how he falls there. Because when you look at the Eagles' depth at receiver, you have Devontae and AJ and Jahan Dotson. And then after that, there's a lot that's kind of, to me, it's up in the air.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I know Johnny Wilson and Nia Smith, but, for me, like, yeah, they're draft picks from last year, and it's going to be hard to kind of knock them off. But, to me, the one thing that wouldn't be surprising, in my opinion, if like a Darius Cooper really shines, or if Terrence Mitchell really, comes into form, or Danny Gray, these guys, start to show you something. Wouldn't surprise me if Johnny Wilson puts on some weight and moves to tight end.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion on that. Now, I know they have a ton of tight ends, but there's nobody that's here. I don't think there really is anybody here past next year, I believe. I'm trying to think, because I know Calcaterra, he's a free agent after the year, I believe.
I feel like Granson was a 2-year deal.
Okay, yeah. I think you're right. I think his was a 2-year. I think it was.
Yeah.
I think he is. But
it's not a great situation there at tight end, to be honest with you. Although it sounds like they're pretty high on Harrison Bryant. And Granson. From what I hear, I don't remember where I saw this, but I'm pretty sure someone said that they had a 4th-round grade on Granson.
Oh, wow.
So that's one to keep an eye on. I mean, he was a hell of a receiving threat in college, not much of a blocker. I think people are sleeping on Jenkins as well.
Right.
I think he improved quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
His blocking. He got some pretty significant snaps later in the year with all the injuries at tight end with Uzoma. So I think Jenkins is a sleeper there for that tight end 2 or 3. The 4 that I see are the obvious ones. I think are you got Goddard, you got Calcaterra, and you got Bryant. I think is probably your 3, and then on the outside, maybe looking in, or if they decide to keep 4, you have Jenkins. I wouldn't be surprised if they go lighter at tight end though, in a year where they go with 2 tight ends, since they have a dedicated fullback now.
Yeah.
That 3rd tight end over the last 2 or 3 years under Sirianni has been a glorified fullback, right? They've been kind of an H-back, lining up at the wing, going in motion, hitting those wham blocks. So it'll be interesting to see what they do at tight end if they go light there and heavy at O-line, like I was saying earlier. 2 guys I'm interested in. I don't know if we're playing that game.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
I think Montrell Johnson is going to turn some heads.
Okay.
Out of Florida. He's a bigger dude. He's like 215, ran a 4.41. If you haven't seen his highlights, I recommend watching them. They're pretty fun. I could see him becoming that like Nay Brown fan favorite because of his running style. And because he's going to get significant reps with Saquon and Dylan likely sitting. You'll see a lot of Shipley. You'll see a lot of him. You'll see a lot of the I forget the other kid that the undrafted kid. But I wouldn't be surprised to see him turn some heads. And then Maxon Hook, I think, is a guy that is going to make some plays. He's going to make a little bit of a splash on the defensive side. I think he's going to be one of those exciting whites of the preseason.
Yeah, I'm really excited for camp and preseason and all the notes and everything.
Holland Pierce.
Yeah, I know. He's
it's
to me.
I
think Holland Pierce is going to be the phantom IR candidate, especially. He's a guy that they can groom with the thighs and everything as they work his technique and all. I'm very interested to see what they have with him. But
any other year, and I think he'd be a lock.
Yeah.
But this is, like we said, there's just so much of a logjam there.
Yeah, they have so many guys. So we'll see what comes with that. But let's get into a couple of free agent news. The June free agency. So Jaire Alexander is cut from the Packers after they couldn't work out a trade or a deal, restructure deal, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So Now, he's been injured a ton. That is one knock on him. But, what he's going to do, that's going to be interesting because I know the Bills had a deal. They were talking about a deal with him and fell through. And, of course, they drafted Maxwell Hairston. So, we'll see kind of where that goes.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's some talk about the Steelers with, Jaire and, Jalen Ramsey, which doesn't make sense because they got Porter and Slay. So I'm not sure how that comes to.
And like I could see maybe Ramsey if they wanted to throw him at safety, but even then, you have Minka, you have Elliott, you have Thornhill, who they just signed in the offseason. So like, I don't get the buzz there with the Steelers. I mean, you could argue that he, when healthy, is better than Slay, but he hasn't been healthy.
Yeah, and like to me, like the talk with like, I know Philly really likes Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson. To me, it's like there's familiarity, and the one thing with him that is intriguing, I think he fits this defense so well with the way he plays. The fit is there, and I think too, like. The injury aspect, of course, is big, but if he's willing to take a deal that's incentive laden, like I understand Keely Ringo, you want to give him a chance and all. I get that. But when there's a talent like this and you're in a Super Bowl window here, to me, I don't think it would. It's a no-brainer in my opinion on that if he's willing to take less money. But again, there may be a team who potentially suffers an injury in the secondary that's going to throw decent money at him, and that's where he's going to go. So,
yeah, I agree with his play style. I think, especially at this stage in his career, he is a little bit more comfortable in zone. He's not old by any means, but he's 28, which is around where Slay was when we brought him in. So, realistically, you could get another 3-4 years out of him if he has a career arc like Slay. So I get it. The age is not a concern for me. His play style, like you said, fits what Fangio wants. Can his body withstand the style of play that Fangio demands in his corners? I don't know. Slay had some trouble keeping up. Granted, Slay's 6 years older, 5 years older, but he's played 14 games in 4 years. That's and the drama there with the Packers is kind of weird. There are, I think, more red flags in my opinion than there are benefits to signing a guy like Jaire. Because judging from the reports of minicamp, and again, it's just minicamp, Ringo was an absolute terror out there. I'd be okay, I think, with like a 1 year, like you said, incentive-laden deal that could become a 2 year, however how he structures that, and see how it shakes out. But I think there's going to be another team that's more desperate at the spot that's going to give him more money.
So, speaking of free agency, the Raiders signed Jermaine Pratt, who was cut by the Bengals. Apparently the Bengals able to save some money by that and then still can't appease any of their frustrated players. But the veteran linebacker goes to the Raiders, Pete Carroll and the Raiders. I think that's a great signing for them.
Phenomenal.
Get a veteran linebacker there. So another thing, too, is when you look at the Cincinnati Bengals, Trey Hendrickson still is without a deal. He did not report to mini camps.
What is it with the Bengals, man? Like, what is their hesitancy to pay stars?
You know what? I think, too, like, they're cheap. They have a poor owner, essentially, which essentially what that is, I don't think he has the upfront money that some of these owners have.
Or is he just not willing to pay it?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, I would say. Yeah. Most likely a little bit of both. But, like, you have a pass rusher who had, 17 and a half sacks last year?
Yeah.
Led the NFL in sacks. And, he wants a new deal. And it's just talks are going nowhere. What are they going to do? Because the longer they wait, to me, his value is going down the longer they wait. Yeah. And then on the same division, you got TJ Watt not showing up. They just signed Aaron Rodgers, which to me, he's not like, I don't think TJ Watt's going anywhere, because if you're going to sign a veteran quarterback, you're not going to get rid of your best defensive player.
We've seen weirder,
but
I don't see the Steelers getting rid of Watt. I don't think he's
no.
he'll retire a Steeler. He'll die a Steeler.
But it's interesting to see. And I think the one thing too, when you look at the Eagles, are they've got a plethora of draft picks next year.
Yeah.
So, and they're not making all those picks. So something's, they may not be done in terms of adding a veteran free agent, especially if it's one of these guys, or if they go on the market and they sign somebody else, or they trade for a guy on a rookie deal. So there's a lot that's there. But, we'll see. Now, last week I talked to Chip about like a veteran edge rusher. And do you think the Eagles need to add a veteran with, trading Bryce Huff? Brandon Graham's not there anymore. Josh Sweat's gone. I know they signed Josh Uche and
Azeez Ojulari.
Yes, Azeez Ojulari. I know they have those guys, plus they drafted APR, and they have Jalex Hunt and Nolan Smith. Do you think a veteran addition, would be a wise choice for the Eagles?
The way I look at it is I don't think it's as necessary from a leadership perspective. From everything that I've read and heard and seen, Nolan Smith has it down. Like he's very much taken that torch from Brandon Graham. So from a leadership, and I've been there, perspective, I think Nolan Smith is there. You got Jalen Carter. Like the defensive front has a tremendous amount of leadership and character there. That's not the part I'm worried about. And it's not even I wouldn't say it's even the talent either. Like Ojulari has shown that he can rush the passer. Uche, if he can return to 2023 form, is a steal. Jalex Hunt put on weight, like we said. He's giving my lot of fits. Nolan Smith, if he comes back 100% healthy from that tricep, not worried about him. But like that's four dudes in that you're counting on, and multiple of those guys have had injury concerns. Right? Nolan was banged up in college. That was the knock on him coming out. He tears his tricep, which again is just kind of a freak thing. Uche has battled injuries. Ojulari was in and out of the lineup with injuries, which is why they drafted Thibodeau and traded for Burns, right? So like, could they use another body or two? Absolutely. And if they were to make a trade for a guy like Hendrickson, it would make sense to me because of the lack of rotation that Fangio does, right? Like by the end of the year, we only had 3 dudes rotating.
Yeah.
Whether or not that was intentional or just, hey, we're rolling with the hot hands and I don't want to put off on the field. And obviously BG was hurt, or if that's what he just does, if he's just like, listen, my best 3 guys are going to play 100% of the snaps, then a guy like Hendrickson makes sense. If you're going to go with a 4 or 5 man rotation and you're going to give up legit assets and potentially a long, big contract, he might not make sense.
Yeah, because to me, if you're going to go with a large rotation type of, ploy in terms of your defensive line room, edge room, to me, I wouldn't mind a player like a Jadeveon Clowney because he could play, the run and the pass. A DeMarcus Walker, a Zadarius Smith, like options like that. The optionality of that, I'd be okay with.
I think that's more likely in this instance. I
don't think they want to give up valuable assets, like giving up a 3rd or 4th round pick for a guy coming off his rookie, and has a year left of his rookie deal or on his rookie deal. That to me, I wouldn't bat an eye at because I think that's something that they could do.
Yeah, but like I can't believe I'm citing him, but ESP made a good point where every year an edge becomes available or they think they become available, like Myles Garrett. like Trey Hendrickson, and we go, oh man, Howie loves edges. He'll go all out. Like he believes in the trenches, which he does to an extent. But like, when's the last time we put legit assets towards an edge? Like I'm talking free agent. I'm talking about free agent or like trade, right? Like Bryce Huff, you could argue, but like when you really look at the market,
it's on Reddick, but it really wasn't like a huge deal. It was kind of a pretty friendly deal with the way.
Right. So like you could argue Nolan Smith, but again, he was kind of a we got lucky he fell in our lap kind of thing. But like it's not like how he's going out there and just throwing money and picks at edge rushers.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting because I sat there and I thought about it and I could not think of the last time we went all in on an edge rusher. Defensive tackle, he's all about it. He'll pay him, he'll trade for him, he'll do whatever. Because I think the belief there is inside pressure leads to sacks.
Yeah.
Which is true. But it'll be interesting. Who knows? I didn't think he'd pay a running back. I didn't think he'd pay a linebacker. I didn't think he'd draft a safety in the second round. So, like, all bets are off with Howie. Maybe he goes out and makes a splash. I think Hendrickson would be a no-brainer, but or a Trayvon Walker is a guy that I would go on.
I forgot to mention Trayvon Walker. He'd be a guy I'd absolutely love to have.
His skill set would just be so perfect in Fangio's defense. He drops, he rushes the passer, he plays the run well, he can drop inside. He's a big boy, he's fast. He would be the guy that I'd go all in on, but the Jags are a little bit smarter than the Bengals these days, so who knows?
Yeah. We'll see where that goes. Looking at like Trayvon Walker, like to get him, what do you think? Because to me, I think maybe
how old is he?
3 and a 5, you may be able to get him because he is due a new deal. If you want to maybe give it 2, but I just think it's going to be maybe a conditional 3, but
He's
a 3 and a
24.
round pick would be.
So he's 24. I would say a 3 next year and a 5 the following.
Yeah.
Is probably
a 5 that could become a 4, maybe conditional 5, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like, sure. If you can get the first overall pick that's 24 years old, that's going to be a starter for you over the next, 4 or 5 years. Sure. 3 and a 5, done.
Because when you look at the Jaguars, they have Josh Hines-Allen, who's on a big deal. Yeah. I believe they got some. I know Trevor Lawrence signed that big deal. I think they have some other guys that are coming due. I know Brian Thomas is only in his second year, so he still has time.
Is he? I know like a lot of Eagles beat writers are talking about him and how he'd be a thing, but like, is there any smoke to him being available? Have we heard anything about that?
I don't know if we've heard anything about it, but I think it's just something because they're looking at the situation.
They don't really have depth there, though. Like, it's him and Hines-Allen, and they have Eric Armstead and Devon Hamilton in the middle, and that's pretty much it. I mean, they drafted Jordan Jefferson, Mason Smith, and then they have Miles Cole as the backup to Trayvon Walker.
I do want to look at something in regards to them. Because what?
Their draft picks?
No. Looking in terms of their upcoming free agents. So next year they've got, let me just pull up this. Devin Lloyd is a free agent. They also have Manuel Ogba. They signed him. I remember that.
He finally leave the Dolphins? All right.
Yeah. Travis Etienne's a free agent. Now, I know he's kind of, been hit or miss there. Oh, they also have Dwayne Smoot. He's also an edge there as well. Yeah. Plus, they just signed Dennis Gardeck, who was an edge rusher.
That's right. That's who I was thinking of. So they have depth there. But, I mean, and again, the Jaguars are not the Eagles or the Chiefs by any means, but are they that stupid to give up on a 24-year-old edge rusher?
Maybe. I don't know.
Who knows? I mean, listen, that would be the ideal move, I think. Then Hendrickson, and then if they suffer some injuries in training camp or
well, the one thing I did know was I believe they did get rid of a number of guys because of the whole Doug Peterson thing, signed the free agents they signed, just getting rid of some of the money, getting it off the books and everything like that.
Evan Ingram and
Tristan Kirk. So, and there was actually, I think, a couple other guys. No, Darby was a free agent. I don't think he was released, unless he was. I'm trying to think. I don't remember.
He was a free agent.
But, to me, it's just do they want to put that kind of money towards Trayvon Walker, or do they say, okay, let's trade him, let's get a couple draft picks, because if we lose him in free agency, we're not going to get the value that we could get if we trade him for a couple picks.
That's why I'm thinking a three and a 5 probably gets it done, right? Because they're at best they're going to get a 3.
Yeah.
So I think the conversation starts there if you're the Jaguars. But who knows? I from what it sounds like, they feel very comfortable with their edge group. I would love to see them add someone like that, but I would anticipate – I'm going to be Debbie Downer here, but I would anticipate that they probably stay pat and go with their young guys and see what they have. And then if there's an injury or something like that, maybe they look at the trade deadline.
Yeah, they could go that route as well. We'll see, how the cookie crumbles there. I wish, I think Trayvon Walker would.
Your parade. Sorry.
What?
I rained on your parade. I'm sorry.
You did rain on my parade a little bit, but it's okay because if it happens, it's just going to make.
Hell yeah.
Better. Exactly. So before we head out, we have a game here. Chip did it a couple weeks ago. And you're going to do it now.
All right. I'm going to make my screen bigger so I can see it.
All right. So as you see, there's a bunch of years on here.
Oh, shit.
So what we're going to do is – so the first one's going to be 100 touchdowns, and it's in a season. So you have to pick players that fall between the years. You have a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and a tight end. You have to equal whatever's their best season in that range that it falls in. That's the touchdown output you get, if that makes sense. So if it's 2021 to present, and you can pick A.J. Brown, and it's going to get his best touchdown season with the Eagles, and it's with the Eagles, mind you.
Okay. So it has to equal 100?
You have to get over 100. Chips had 103. You have to beat Chips 103.
Wow, 103. Okay.
So here we go.
I'm so nervous.
Oh
shit.
So we have 1940 to 1960.
All right.
You have everything wide open. So
this is awful. Could not have received a worse time frame. Okay. And what positions do I have to pick again?
Quarterback.
Let me write this down.
2 running backs, 3 receivers, and 1 tight end.
Quarterback, how many running backs?
2.
Running back.
3 receivers and a tight end.
Wide receiver. All right.
You can't be looking it up.
I'm just writing it down. You can see it.
Okay.
So, was Pete Pihos was after 60, right?
No. Pete Pihos played with the Eagles he won championships with them in 48 and 49, so he is in that time frame.
So Pihos as my tight end.
So Pihos as your tight end, which you would get 11 touchdowns.
That's it?
Yes. What do you mean that's it? 1948, he had 11 touchdowns in 12 games.
Oh, it's one season. Gotcha.
One season, yes.
All right.
Think about P-Host, though. Don't forget about him. But for their next game. But 11 is his. And funny thing is, that is the tight end that Chip picked as well.
Excellent. So he had the same time frame?
He did have. What the hell? Hold on.
It was 40 through 60. I got you.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Van Buren and Van Brockman. Right?
No, you're not doing it all. Every round you get a new.
I thought I had to do all of them.
No.
So 2001 through 2010.
Yes. No. Hold on. It goes again because I had one that got deleted. So let's do it again. Oh, let me spin it again for you. You got kind of jousted on that one.
I thought I got 2001 through 2010.
No, because I didn't have. You keep deleting 1940 to 1960. Not sure why.
Oh, which one's that? All right.
It keeps deleting. Hold on. It keeps deleting it. I don't know why, because maybe 1940, 1960 isn't a good year.
So we're spinning again?
Yes.
Or am I going 81? Okay.
Here we go. 2011 to 2020. So you have every position open, but they had to have played from 2011 to 2020.
Shit.
It's hard to think about. Yeah, think about.
I already did tight end. Otherwise, I'd do Zach Ertz.
Got 3 receivers, 2 running backs, and a quarterback.
And it had to be a year in between there. It couldn't be like Westbrook played in 2011 and it's his 2004 season.
No, it has to be in that time frame. So whoever you pick had to have played in that time frame.
I'm probably going to regret this. Shit. All right, hold on. These were such bad years of Eagles football. Let's go. This is driving me nuts. This was such dog shit football between these years. Through 2020. I don't know why, but I want to say Riley Cooper. He's like let's go to Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson. I just don't know how you don't pick anyone from the 2017 season.
Well, because there wasn't a ton of Wentz got hurt. Otherwise, I would have gone with Wentz. Ertz already picked, and he was the whole offense. Alshon wasn't a touchdown machine. It was running back by committee.
You're getting Deshaun Jackson 9 touchdowns in 2013.
That sucks.
So
okay.
That gives you 20 so far.
And I'm down to 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a quarterback.
Yep. 1981 and 1990.
Is Wilbert Montgomery in there?
Wilbert Montgomery would be an option to use.
Let's use him.
And when we look up his stats, now we go from 81 till 84 is when he was with the Eagles, and his high of touchdowns was 10.
Boom. I'll take it.
Yeah. 70. Never mind. I'm not going to say that. I guess it doesn't matter. You can't pick him again. I guess you could. So it's 10. So now you have 30, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4 spots left.
Oof.
You need your quarterback to be huge touchdown getter.
Yeah.
Okay, 91 to 2000.
I mean, I'll go. I feel like I have to go McNabb here.
But it's only his 99 and 2000 seasons.
Yeah. Westbrook was after.
Yep. You're looking more the 90s, thinking about the 90s.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking Cunningham. I'm almost leaning towards Herschel Walker and Andre Waters.
I mean Ricky Waters.
Oh yeah, sorry. Well, could have been Andre Waters too.
True.
91 through 2000. Kevin Curtis. Let's go. I'm probably gonna get killed for this one. I'm gonna go Fred Barnett.
All right, let's see what we got. Arkansas Fred. So when we look at Fred Barnett.
Did I lose you? Did I lose you?
Six touchdowns.
Shit.
I didn't stutter. I was what it was.
Not good.
You need some heavy hitters here. Next one. Ooh, there you go. 21 to the present.
Yeah.
Who are you going with?
I'm going to go with Saquon.
Okay. So when we look at Saquon Barkley's season last year, we have a good 15. So that is a good.
That was a big win there.
That was a big one there. You made up for the Fred Barnett pick.
Yeah. Again, bad errors of football.
You have one receiver and a quarterback left.
All right.
81 to 90.
So what do I have left? Quarterback
and a receiver.
Quarterback and a receiver, that's it?
Yep.
Great.
From 1981 to 1990.
I feel like I have to go wide receiver here.
Who are you going?
Carmichael wasn't on the team, right?
He was playing during that time.
I feel like his good year was like 78, though. What about Chris Carter?
Ooh, I didn't think about that one. Chris Carter. That is an interesting one. When you look at Chris Carter's 3 years with the Eagles, we're 81 to 90. And so, yeah, his 89 season, he had 11 touchdowns.
I'll take it.
Now it leaves you with just quarterback left. Quarterback is your last.
I'm screwed. McNabb.
01 to 2010.
McNabb.
That's going to give you.
McNabb.
Donovan
McNabb
McNabb.
04 should help me out big time.
Yeah. So when you look at that, and it is his receiving and or his passing and rushing. I do both.
Okay.
So 34.
All right.
That
I still don't
gives
think
you
I passed on good, right?
34 touchdowns. I'll bring the trusty old calculator, and we will get this added up.
The Fred Barnett pick killed me.
Yeah, I don't know why you went there.
I couldn't think of the other receivers that played in like
from 91 to 2000. What about Irving Fryer?
I was thinking Irving Fryer or James Thrash.
Thrash.
Hey,
I'm sorry, that was.
thanks.
It wasn't nice. I'm sorry, that wasn't nice. All right, I'm going to use the old trusty calculator on the phone. It's a lot easier. So we have that plus 10 for Montgomery, 9 for Deshaun, 6 for Barnett, 11 for Carter, and 11 for P-Host. Gives you 96. You don't succeed on that one.
Yeah.
The Chip has bragging rights over you on that.
That's all right.
Now the next one. 500 total touchdowns in their career. You only get a running back, a quarterback, 2 receivers, and a tight end. This is their career.
A running back, a quarterback, what?
Running back, quarterback, 2 receivers, and a tight end. But they had to have played with the Eagles during this time, but you get their career touchdowns. 91 to 2000.
I get their career touchdowns?
Yep.
Let's go Ricky Waters.
Ooh, that's an interesting one. Chip didn't go that way. That's going to be... Ooh, that is going to give you 91. A good start.
Yeah.
Alrighty, and then next one we're going with. (2011 to 2020).
I'm going to go Zach Ertz.
Ooh. Now he's an active player, so you get his total touchdowns as of right now, which gives you 53.
So I still have a wide receiver, 2 wide receivers, and a quarterback.
Yes.
All right.
You guys got to hope you land on a good spot with a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Oof. 1940 to 1960. You already used the tight end, so PP Host is out of the question.
Let's go with Van Buren.
Ooh, that's what I was waiting for. Because when you look at Steve Van Buren, his highest touchdown total was 17. So that's the only reason I give that. It's crazy. He only played 8 years, yet he had 72 touchdowns. Actually, you can't use Van Buren. You got your running back already. There's only one running back, quarterback, and 2 receivers left.
Then give me McCoy.
1940?
Didn't he play through the 60s, or was he in the 70s?
Who are you talking about?
What's his name? Was it McCoy? I think it was.
No.
25. What was his name? McDonald. Give me McDonald.
McCoy, I don't know what the hell you were talking about.
25 McCoy. Listen, I'm getting like 3 hours of sleep a night, so.
Listen, I didn't have the kid. It wasn't my decision. It was your decision.
Give me McDonald.
84 touchdowns.
I'll take it.
This is a really, really good start for you. Quarterback is where you're going to get the most, and it's going to really push you over the top. Yeah, by the way, Chip got 513, so you got to beat his number. 1981 to 1990.
Gonna get a wide receiver, huh?
You get one receiver, one quarterback. Make it count.
I get a wide receiver and a quarterback.
Yeah.
Let's go. I really want to go Cunningham here, but I kind of want to go Harold Carmichael.
You got to decide what you want to do here. Remember, rushing touchdowns do count for quarterbacks.
Let's go Cunningham.
Chip went McNabb on that one, who gave him 263.
Yeah, that's a big one. But I'm thinking Cunningham with the Vikings and Ravens.
Cunningham got you 242.
I'll take it.
And then now you have a wide receiver left. And that is all you have. You could put this way over the top if you hit just 1 year. And you're not going to hit that.
I couldn't even tell you who the receivers are. I've used them all.
You can use one of the tight ends because they essentially use them as flankers. So,
But I already used Pijos.
no, you can use him because he was a flanker, essentially.
I don't get another spin, huh? All right. Let's go. I guess let's go Pijos. I don't even think I can name a wide receiver. Could you?
What?
Could you name another wide receiver from that time?
I'm going to say no.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about
guys
like Pete Retzlaff and stuff, but he was essentially a tight end, but a flanker. They really didn't they played him out. They didn't play. They played with one or two receivers at most. So let's get. You're gonna beat it. Let's see if you beat Chip's 531. So you beat Chip. So you at least have one over him. He beat you with the 100 touchdowns, but I like to do stuff like that. That stuff is fun.
Dude, that's my favorite one that we've done.
Yeah, it's a very interesting.
Donald McCoy.
Yeah, that is funny. I think also another fun thing to do is, I think when we either do tailgates or when we do like any live events and stuff like that, I want to do a game like basically what we did, but in terms as doing it as in NFL, like putting all the NFL teams, and you have to pick a player from that and build.
I love it.
Build a team, quarterback.
We should compete against someone in the audience. A little beat the hammer kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that'd be a fun little thing. I see it all the time. They do like 5,000 like baseball ones. They do like with homers, strikeouts, stuff like that. You do some with touchdowns, or you do yards.
Yeah.
If position like running backs and receivers and tight ends, you have to get 20,000 yards or whatever it may be. But different stuff like that, I think it makes you really work your mind. So
love it. Yeah, and I gotta say, for the people at home, if you're watching this and you're like, "Oh, this is so easy," there's a lot of stress, man. There's a lot of pressure. My brain just fell out of my head. So,
especially when you're on the spot. So
if you get a chance to do it at home, try it with your friends and see if you can do it. It's tough.
No, you are correct on that.
That was fun.
Thanks for joining us. Now, a couple things that are coming up that we have in the future here. So just keep an eye out. We're going to be announcing some fun things potentially down the road here. So make sure you're keeping an eye on all our socials. Make sure you follow it. Everything is down at the bottom there. I do want to give a shout out to Jordan Spector, who is doing some great work with all the Super Bowl champions and doing their cards, autograph cards and stuff, making a huge Super Bowl collection. I think is absolutely fantastic. He's having an event on July 3rd in Maryland for Brandon Graham. You can get pictures with Brandon Graham with the Super Bowl jersey and the cleats that he wore on the game day, his last game as a Philadelphia Eagle and an NFL player. So, pretty cool. They have different add-ons to there too. So you definitely want to check it out with them, and just check out everything that they have. Spectre Art is you could find all his great artwork that he's got put out there. You could buy some awesome stuff. The one thing I love is basically it's called the On the Road to Victory. It's literally he made it after the Eagles won Super Bowl 52, from like the beginning all the way through. And you see all the great players are all put in there. And I did talk to him. I know he is working on getting one from after the Super Bowl up until now. So it's going to be a little bit shorter of a piece, but it's going to take him some time there. So I can't wait to see when that comes out and everything that he does and he's putting together. So make sure you check him out. Make sure you give him a follow. I believe on Instagram and on X, I believe he's Spectre Art. So you could just take a look at that, follow him. You'll get all the heads up when stuff's coming around. And there is something cool about the Brandon Graham is you can enter a wait list. They are selling essentially he's taking his jersey and they're going to cut it up and put him into these relic cards that you're going to have a piece of essentially history. And so, make sure you go on the website, you sign up. If you want to get tickets to the event, you get tickets to the event. But there's some more coming. We'll be posting about that as well. So make sure that you're keeping an eye on that, keeping an eye on our socials. But, Matt, thanks again for joining us. But with that, as we always end it with a very happy
Go Birds.
This is Matt Ware. Hey, for all the Eagle content you need, go follow All About the Birds. They do a damn thing. Check them out.
Hey, Eagles fans, I may be in Tampa, but I know where to find the best Eagles content out there. Check out my friends at All About the Birds.
Philadelphia, what's up? This your boy Freddie Mitchell, a.k.a. Fred X. It's all about the bird.
All birds all the time. All birds all the time.
All About the Birds provides you with weekly analysis, game recaps, informative interviews, and it's all birds all the time.